Welcome to another edition of Smalltalk for you. This morning I wanted to kind of go through a use of perform and does not understand that I've seen a lot of people, including myself to some extent, use that nevertheless gives you problems. Let's take a look at what I'm talking about. I have a simple object with a count variable, and in my initialize method I set it to 0. Then over here, instead of giving it a simple API of add and subtract and sending it a value, I'm going to assume that I'm going to interact with it through this do-op message by sending it simpler strings and overriding does not understand to figure out what I'm getting. So I take the string, turn it into a selector, and then I send do-op to it with the selector, then handle the message not understood by just returning self if the selector I've created doesn't exist. Now why is this bad? Well, here's a good example. I'm going to try add, inspect count, and sure enough it works. You might think, well, what's so bad? It worked. Likewise subtract. Try that. That works. Let's try multiply, something I didn't implement. Well, not only do I not get an error, but count stays at 0. So I've swallowed the exception by looking to see if it's one of the selectors I've got. But I can send it anything, and it'll either be add or subtract and work, or the other things and not work. Worse, if I go ahead and try to find these methods, add, subtract, multiply, tools, implementers. Let's try add. Notice that I've got these versions of it here in other classes, but I don't have my own, so it's untraceable. If I gave it a better name, something that wasn't duplicated somewhere else in the system, it'd be as if the thing doesn't exist. And this is the real problem. When a follow-on developer comes along and tries to figure out what you've done, they can't trace your execution because none of the standard tools find your code when you're constructing a message, handling the does not understand, and then just putting things together. So it can be a powerful technique. I've actually used this myself in the blog tool that I used back way back when I was building interfaces to multiple blogging systems, most of which don't even exist anymore. But you can out-clever yourself with something like this, where you end up having code that is untraceable, follow-on developers can't figure out what you've done, and even you, 3 or 4 years later, will take a look at the code and say, what was I thinking? So that's about it for today. Until next time, have fun with whatever Smalltalk you're using.